Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Music Podcast once again. Thank you so much for my subscribers. You're here each and every time, and I appreciate you. If you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that button if you like what you see and hear, so I can bring you great guests like the guy I have today, Mr. Drew Cagle. I have Drew Cagle from Drew Cagle and The Reputation. He is a singer and guitarist, a key songwriter. The band, which is quickly becoming known for their dynamic live performance, which I can attest to. They are just incredible on the stage. They've shared stages with Living Color, Lita Ford, LA Guns, right up to Escape the Fate and Head East and Humble Pie, all kinds of acts, spanning a lot of genres there. The band's single, All Figured Out, reached #1 on the classic rock radio chart, and they were signed by Pavement Entertainment shortly thereafter. And we're going to talk about that. And Mark Nawara, my good friend at Pavement, great label. And we're going to talk about their deal there and see what's going on there. Drew and the band have released a brand new record on that label. They have surpassed 1 million streams as well across all the platforms. Doing well. The new record is called Bad Attitude, and Drew's here to tell us all about it. Drew, it's great to have you, man.
Man, it's great to be back. What an intro.
You got a lot. The accolades are building every single day, man, and it's so great to see. I love the growth in the new artist, and you're doing some great stuff out there. So it's good to see you growing, and especially growing with the Pavement Entertainment label.
Yeah, thank you, man. I want to before we get started, I want to thank you for your help on promoting All Figured Out. It did hit #1, but it didn't happen alone. So I appreciate your help with that, man.
Uh, anytime. I'm glad to get the word out with that. And it's about the people. It's about the song and what you do and getting it to the people and having the people like it. And that's they've spoken. They have definitely spoken, and they've spoken loudly, and everybody enjoys what you're doing, and it's great, man. Um, Signing with Pavement, big step. That was You weren't with Pavement last time we spoke, and Pavement's a great label. I love Mark there, and the Plush, one of my favorite bands on Pavement, and of course, Candlebox and Ted Nugent. Just a great label in this business. Very honest label, does everything, a lot of things for the artists. So tell me about signing with Pavement. What you guys talked about? Any expectations with the label?
Man, that was just really cool when we were on the All Figured Out tour. Actually, I think you were at the specific show. We opened up for Plush in Aurora, and Mark was there. Who's the head of Pavement, and after our set, he was blown away by our performance, and we started talking. The promoter Chris put us in touch, and it just kind of flourished after that. And we were like, hey, there's more where All Figured Out came from. We got a full record coming, and just everyone was super excited, super into it. And before we knew it, we were scheduling the release and getting ready to announce that we were partnered together and stuff like that. So it's honestly just been a ride I've hopped on and let it go. And so far it's been quite fruitful. We released the album not even, I think, just about a week ago now, and it's already been unbelievably well received once I put the album in Pavement's hands. So I'm just excited to see where it goes from here, man.
Yeah, I am too. And like I say, you're with a label that's you can trust. These guys are great. I've known them for a lot of years, and it's just I'm so glad to see people land in the right space, because you can land in a bad space in this business, and we all know that.
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, you're in good hands there, and they're going to do their best to get that music out to the people and do some good things. So looking forward to that for sure. The name of the album, Bad Attitude. That has something to do with your father, I think, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about that, and tell me about the relationship with Dad.
So, so Bad Attitude, the concept of it, that was based off of my dad's band from the '90s. He was in a band that was actually called Bad Attitude, and They just kind of played around Central Illinois and stuff like that, and they never really got a chance to make it or do anything touring wise or anything like that. And so, life went on. My dad ended up having me and my brother and stuff like that, and I ended up to grow up and do what I'm doing now. And I just thought it was a cool thing to honor him, and I thought it was also just the perfect name of an album for a band called The Reputation. I mean,
Yeah.
I just when it came down to naming the second album, uh, there was no other choice in my mind. It was very quick, and then once I figured out that was the concept for the new record, it excited me and inspired me, and then so we actually went on to record one of my dad's old songs from his old band and cover it on the record. So track 4 on the record, "So Cold," was actually written by Troy Hobbs and my dad, Lance Cagle. So it was written by them. I rewrote a couple words of the song and rearranged it a little bit, but it's pretty much their song the way they used to play it in the '90s. So uh, I thought, this would be a cool thing to do. It sounds perfect right in between all the other songs that I had been working on. And then I had this song from years back called "Bad Attitude" that I actually never really thought um, would really make it to the live shows.
Hmm.
And we didn't quite know what to do with it and stuff. And then all these things all just came together at once: the cover song, the title of the album, and I said, all right, we'll put that song on the record. And for a while, it's funny, that song specifically, "Bad Attitude," I personally thought was one of the weakest links on the record. It just wasn't put together the strongest, I thought. And then we did a couple shows with LA Guns last year, and me and Tracy hit it off, and the record was pretty much finished at that time, except for this one song, "Bad Attitude," that I was like, man, it's missing something. And little I know, it was missing "TRACII Guns," and that's all it. That was all it really needed to get going and blow up, and it's the lead single from the record right now.
How about that? That is so cool, man. That's just and you never know what's going to lead to where, and something you didn't really have believe in too much, and it turns out to be the first single on the record. Uh,
Yeah,
once it found its path, and pretty great. And the tribute to your dad, being a dad myself, that's he's got to be so proud, and it's got to feel so great, man. That's it's really great what you did there.
yeah, it was definitely there was definitely a cool moment between the two of us when he heard the song for the first time. He had heard it live, and he thought it was kind of cheesy. He didn't want it to he didn't want it to feel like I was trying to uh, you know
Hmm.
make a song about his band and stuff like that. And then he heard Tracy play on it, and everything changed.
Yeah.
And it changed for me too. It was he heard that, and Tracy was one of the guys that when he was growing up he'd go see LA Guns play. So
Yep.
when I show him this song and say, hey, guess who I got to play on this new song or whatever, and he hears it, and it's Tracy Guns on a song titled his name,
Yeah.
his band name. I mean, it was definitely a cool moment for all of us.
That's great, man. That's great, and it's such a great tune too. It really is cool, man. It's cool to have Tracy. He's a good dude. Uh,
Oh yeah.
just been around for such a long time doing this, and super pro. Really great to have him here for sure. What's the writing process for these songs? Now you mentioned the tune from your dad's band, Bad Attitude, back in the day, which super cool thing to do that. But the writing process for you now, I notice you have a different live band. You have some session people play on the record, but you come in, you're writing the sole core of all this material all yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I write everything, and then I pretty much bring the songs into whatever group of guys I have around at the time, to help get them either performance ready or to get them ready to hit the studio. Um, And so I guess the writing process for these songs, it's different every time. I think when we last were together, I kind of told you a little bit about the writing process for All Figured Out,
Mhm.
and it being kind of the last minute thing we threw into the record. Uh, Bad Attitude, like I said, was kind of written about my dad's band, and then the rest of the songs, they all kind of just came together over a period of time. The weird thing about recording records and releasing them like this is these songs are truthfully written so long ago, but before you ever get to hear them.
Mhm.
All these songs, most of these songs were written when the Haunted EP was coming out.
Wow.
So while we were recording the Haunted EP, I was already writing this. So, and on the same train of thought with that, I've already got 2 or 3 more records finished and could be ready to go into the studio at any point in time. It's just the matters of scheduling and stuff like that, and figuring out the right time to release these songs. Um, but no, the writing process normally it'll start with me, whether sitting at my piano in my garage or sitting with my acoustic in my garage, and I'll start with the chords unless there's a certain lyric that sticks in my mind. The song "Wine Talking," that one was a certain lyric that stuck in my mind. Uh, but most of the time, I just kind of sit there and I just let the song take over. I don't really overthink it. I I kind of sit there and if I'm going through something or if I'm feeling something, I just let the song take it and we go from there.
And I think I feel that with the music because it's simple and straightforward in the best way. It just the song just organically comes out in the music.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's rock and roll. It's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be simple, I think. And this is it's just you and rock and roll. Pleasing the crowd. It's very live. The record is it's like the live show. There's an intensity. There's just that simplicity of coming at you, having fun, and giving you your ears a good time. And that's it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. You don't have to sit and analyze and think about it, which I love. I love like progressive music and that Dream Theater type thing where there's all kinds of different things, and you got to listen to it 4 times before you can really appreciate it. Uh,
yeah,
I like that as well. But this is not that. This is that Aerosmith kind of thing where you know, it's in your
yeah.
face and it hits you and it feels good and you rock out.
And that's what it's about right there. It's music can go so many different ways and you can do so many different things with it, but ultimately it's about making your listener feel something.
Yeah.
And you do and that happens with the simplest songs and the most meaningful lyrics. And any way that you can do anything to make your listener feel something. Now we do it in a very aggressive and, like you said, live feeling way. We have a lot of these big stops and big hits where we just kind of punch you in the face with this wall of like rock and roll sound,
Yeah.
and that makes you feel something. It shocks you. It gives you a little peak of adrenaline, and that's what rock and roll's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel energetic. It's supposed to excite you. It's supposed to feel danger. It's supposed to feel mysterious, and that's what we were doing. And when I went in the studio with these guys, these Nashville guys, um, these guys are killers. So these guys are it's hard to explain. They are so good. Telling them to play wrong is not something that they can do. And so when I say I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this, this sleazy, nasty, in your face rock record. It sounds like Guns N' Roses and Bon Jovi and all this other stuff and AC/DC. And they've been playing on all these songs that are just the cleanest sounding, the best musicianship, um, Nashville country songs. Um, there's elements that come into it that there's reasons albums like this haven't come out. It's because it's these guys don't play bad, and it's not like the playing on the record. It's bad, but it's not necessarily clean.
Right.
and every note isn't you know put under a microscope. It's all about the feeling that we all have in that room. So whenever we did record it, those guys were just so excited for me to be like, hey, just let loose. And they all did, and it was incredible. And it was one of those things that we had to come back and do overdubs with multiple other guitarists over time to honestly make the record sound less clean. To honest people that were on a different level, not necessarily on the same level as these guys that are these A-list Nashville musicians. We had to bring some other people in to kind of make some mistakes on the track to make it sound a little bit more, youthful and live.
Yeah, dirty it up for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a cool sounding record, man. And you get go the here's the list of players. Just a bit of it. Guy named Shannon Forrest, drummer, Toto and Taylor Swift, Saul Philcox Littlefield. You're talking about Luke Combs and Jelly Roll. Sam Hunter, Willie Nelson's guitarist. Tony Palacios guitar with Guardian. B. James Lowry with Kenny Chesney, Craig Young, Elton John, and Post Malone. This is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. These guys, it doesn't get more pro, and they've done so many different things, so many different genres. Like you said, I mean, they don't. It's impossible for them to play badly, to play anything wrong. It's great to have that in your grasp. I mean, it's got to change the possibilities of the record, right? I mean,
Oh,
we could
absolutely.
do. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it changed everything for me, honestly. Just even that one session in itself, when you tour like I do and you go around and you whether you play in a city or even if you're playing in your hometown, the scope of musicianship that you see is only the people that you see around you. If you see someone great around you, you're just like, man, they're so good. And then you go into the studio with the greatest musicians alive and you realize every other musician you've ever seen ain't shit, you
right.
know?
Yep.
And it's really a shell shocking moment because you don't believe that. Even your favorite musician that you go and see live and that you pay tickets to go see, it's still not the same level.
Yeah.
I remember when I went into the room, I kind of knew what was going on, but I didn't know the full scope of what was happening. And I think I can't remember what the first song we did was. It might have been All Figured Out, and we went and we hit that big intro. And I don't remember ever seeing anyone hit a drum kit that hard as Shannon Forrest did. And it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, this is the drummer for Taylor Swift. There's no big drum. There's no way those drums are on the Taylor Swift records. And then you sit there and you watch him play longer, and then you're like, oh, that's why those drums are on the Taylor Swift records. It's because that guy can do everything, and
Yeah.
he can do it perfectly. And I mean, I think he just played Wembley with Toto, and this like a couple nights ago or something. And he just couldn't have been a cooler guy. We recorded it at his house, so it was in a room built for drums, and it's why those drums sound so huge. And it was one of those experiences that it was like I wish I could experience it every day because you know you always learn the most when you're the least experienced in the room or when you're the worst musician in the room. And that was one of the first times I'd walked into a room and there was no question. And uh, and I don't say that to dog on anything or anybody. It was just one of those things where I got to sit there and I got to be a student again, and I got to sit there and I just got to learn from people that are great, and that's what's fun
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great thing to be around. It makes everybody better, to be around that and experience that kind of professionalism and that talent. It's great for everybody involved for sure. Your live band, not these guys. These are guys are session guys. They do the album. You have this live band that I saw, about 6 months ago. Uh, Super tight. super well rehearsed. They're just a group of guys that is intense. It they bring it. They look great. Being the photographer, it was fun to photograph as well. You guys are just you're bouncing off of each other, smiling at each other. There's that communication, and it's just an intense kind of manic rock and roll thing, and it's super tight. So tell me about the live band. Is this the same live band that you have each and every time you go out, pretty much? Do you guys rehearse a lot for the live show? How's it work with those guys?
So it's not necessarily the same guys every time, depending on where you've seen us before. You've probably seen us with a bunch of different lineups in the past. So most of the time, it is I write the songs and I'll hire the guys. So I'll hire a bunch of hired guns, depending on the tour or the shows. If it's a one-off show, it'll have different guys. The group that you saw were on the All Figured Out tour, and all the backing bands that I have, there's a certain standard that I keep that needs to be kept to perform these songs. Right? I've been talking about for a while all the things that I value in rock music and a rock and roll show. And like you said, that all that stuff's got to be there. It's got to feel dangerous. It's got to feel like it can fall off the rails. When we're running around on stage and we're running into each other, that's not for show. We're actually just was giving everything that we have to the performance. And if we run into each other, or if we start messing with each other on the stage on the part of the thing, that just happens. That stuff isn't rehearsed, but it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun for us. It's supposed to be fun for the audience.
Yep.
And when you do that stuff and you also keep the same level of intensity and attitude that I bring to the table, when everyone is able to stay up at that level of high adrenaline for our 30-minute to an hour to 2 hour set, that really shows the testament of a great musician. And then that's what it is my backing bands, whether you see one lineup or a different one, or you're going to see a bunch more, you will see great musicians, and you will see the songs performed the exact way you want to hear them, man. And that's because that's what we do, and that's what I do. And if my music can't be performed at the level that I believe it should be consumed, then it won't be performed. And so, with all these hired guns that I've had the pleasure of working with, I can't say enough great things about them, because they all come into this project, and no one really knows what to expect. It's not their project, and those who stay and those who kind of latch on to this. It's just great to watch them grow with me, and I just love having them a part of the team, and I just can't say enough great things about it.
Yeah, and they were great, man. They were so good. It seemed like you guys played together, like veterans for years and years, man. It was just it was tight, and it was rocking. It was a beautiful thing, man.
That's great.
And I know Matt at Pavement, and he's not the easiest guy to impress. He's very careful, about what he likes, and especially what he'll sign. And you were signed on the spot, pretty much, and he saw the same thing I did. It was pretty clear. Well rehearsed, tight, intense, all of those things. Really, I can't wait to see it again for sure.
Oh, thanks, man.
Matt Coles produces, engineers, mixes the album. Grammy nominated guy, worked with all the Nashville people. Alice Cooper, the Eagles, Sammy Hagar. Just this genre spanning genius guy.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, I mean, what's the process like with Matt? Because you write these songs, you bring them in the way you envision them. Does he say, do you bring him in 20 songs and he says yay or nay? Or do you bring him in a song and say, we're going to work on this? And then, you go at it and he tweaks the sound. Is he a hands-on guy? Will he ask you to rewrite a portion of the song while you're doing it? So how's it, how intense is Matt to work with? How's that work with Matt?
Man, Matt has been so great. I like when we're talking about the key to this record, it's Matt Coles. He got all of the musicians. He got all those guys. He handpicked each one of them, saying this guy would be the perfect guy to get the sound we are going for, and he was right, absolutely right. I mean, it was great when we started making this record. I actually had only sent him 7 songs, and there's 8 songs on the record. There was only because when it first happened, honestly, there was only 7 songs I was even comfortable with showing him. When as a writer, when you tell when you're getting ready to work with the guy who works with the Eagles, with some of the greatest songs ever written,
Yeah.
you got to give him good stuff. You can't just be throwing him stuff that's not your best material.
Right.
Now, so I only sent him 7 songs, and then about literally like 3 days before we went to record the session, I had written all figured out, and I sent it to him like the night before. And I said, "Hey, can we squeeze this in?" And he's like, "Oh, absolutely." And then we got our 8-song record. So there was no room for error. There was no room for one of these songs not to go right. And I think that kind of added to the adrenaline rush of it, the fun part of it, the dangerousness of recording this record. If there's no room for a mistake in a bad song, then that gives you that danger and the mystery of what's going to happen when we hit those sessions. And I think you can feel that energy in the album. But it was one of those things that I brought in the 8 songs. We sat down and we worked together for a minute to figure out what the sound we were looking for was. And once we made sure we were on the same page, that was it. We were on the same page for the rest of the time recording the record. There was not a question. There was not, anything like that. These are collaborative processes, especially with producers and stuff like that. So, there was things where I'd record a line on Wine Talking, and I'd be like, "Hey man, what do you think of that?" And he'd be like, "What if you tried it like this or something, or you tried it like that last time or something like that." And that's how you make great songs. Is if it's just it's my song, but if it's just my vision, then yeah, we can do some great stuff, but we're limiting the amount of input we can put on it. Just one idea from Matt or from somebody, or a musician, even in the room at the time, just kind of spur of the moment, can change the scope of everything.
Yeah. And when you got that kind of talent, you might as well use it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
These guys got great ideas, I'm sure.
Yeah. They got #1 charting ideas, right? So it's like when these people are around, you ask them questions and you ask them what they would do, what they would like to hear, and then ultimately, yes, I make the decision. But it's about weighing the things in the room, and every single one of the guys that we brought in, B. James as well, who played lead guitar on Wine Talkin' and You Think You Heard Everything, and these guys like that can really just sit there and they want the songs to be great, and so they'll sit there and they'll help you walk through them and just kind of talk about what are we really trying to get the listener to feel at this moment, and how do we do that. And ultimately, those are the questions that need to be asked in the studio setting. And if you're worrying about a bunch of other crap like egos and tensions and stuff like that, then you're not going to make a great record. And that's the problem. But I don't know, I'm excited to see how working with Matt evolves. This isn't going to be the last record I do with Matt Coles. I hope we can do it many more times. I think this was already a success just from it starting, and we're already working on the next one. So this next one I'll probably send over a lot more than just 8 songs as as I did last time, but I'm excited to see kind of where everything goes forward with these guys.
And as am I. Yeah, for sure. It's great, man. I love everything you're doing. It's really cool, and I love the video. You got a video for a song called "She Said," which is, kind of it's just a great song, artistic video, uh, but probably an odd choice for a single.
Yeah,
So tell me about the choice to release that song and do that video in that way. Really, a little bit dark, artistic, kind of balladish, power ballad, if you will. It's just an incredible song. So, tell me about the song, the meaning for you, any personal meaning, and the choice to do the video.
yeah. So, like I said, when we've been performing these songs live for years,
Mhm.
so I have gotten the chance to see every single one of these songs performed in front of so many different faces, so many different people, that I've got to see what songs really, really can touch somebody and what reactions. Over a course of 3 years or so. If I'm not paying attention to that, why are we playing live shows? So
Yeah.
that's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to do, and she said was just one of those songs that no matter when we played it in the set, where we played it, how we played it, acoustic, electric, everyone always turned their heads, and then by the end of the song, everyone was invested. And songs like that earn their spot as a single, and they make no sense when you when you think about it to push it as a single. We have songs like "If It's Not Love," that's a perfect single sounding song, and we
Right.
got songs like "You Think You Heard Everything" and stuff like that on the record. That these are single type songs, and when we came into it, and I realized that we weren't going to be pushing out a bunch of singles before the record comes out. We were going to release it as a full record so everyone can experience the whole thing straight. It really came down to what are the choices for singles. And All Figured Out was already out and did so great. We knew we had the Bad Attitude and TRACII Guns song that was going to do quite well on its own, and so we didn't shoot a video for that one. TRACII was over in LA. I was in the Midwest. We just couldn't get schedules right for the right time. So what happened was said, okay, well we don't have a video for that. Why don't we push Bad Attitude on radio with TRACII Guns? People will still get a chance to listen to it and give that song its fair chance. And then we'll shoot a video for the one song that I think deserves a chance. And she said was a special song for me. It was cut from Haunted, actually, our first release,
Yeah.
and it was one of those that I have held with me in just a special place for years. And it was one of those songs that sometimes you write songs and you think, man, this song's so special. I'm not going to release it until we can do it perfect.
Hmm.
And it's a terrible mindset to have, truthfully, because there's no such thing as a perfect song,
Right.
um, at least in the eyes of the creator. And that was one that when I got the chance to work with Matt, I was like, okay, well, that one has to be there. We'll see if there's anyone that can make this song close to perfect. It's this guy and this team that we put together.
Yeah.
So I brought in She Said and Wine Talking with that exact mindset of these songs have to be done perfectly, and I think we got pretty close. So
Right.
as close as you humanly can get. And so then when that happened, I brought it over to JT Ibanez, my videographer, who did the All Figured Out video, and I said, okay, let's do something a little bit different. I wanted it to have the vibes of Haunted, dark, gloomy, um, mysterious, and I wanted it to still have that aggression that All Figured Out and the rest of the Bad Attitude had.
Hmm.
Because I just think it's a great song to bridge the two albums. It's just it feels dangerous, but it's also very emotional and very introspective. And I think when we came into recording it, we were, it was actually in the middle of a snowstorm, and so Justin and I got there, and we were trying to figure out the right way to record the whole video with just two people, and and when we settled upon, trying our best to make it to make it obvious for the listener how just like a few words can warp someone's perception of reality. That was the concept that we had when we got in there, and we said, how can we do that? And I think JT did an absolutely fabulous job with that. There's like dream sequences of us in this kind of like desert wasteland kind of thing. There's us playing in the middle of a storm. My guitarist gets his Slash moment where he's playing his lead guitar solo in the middle of the storm, and there's scenes where it's just kind of me sitting in my room staring at my hat, kind of um, looking through some parts of my life and some of my regrets and stuff. And so we got to combine all those to make She Said, and I just think it just came together really well.
Yeah, man, it's a special tune, and the video is just it suits it perfectly. It's really cool. We'll have a link, of course, down below. You gotta sit and watch this video. It's an emotional experience, man. It's a really cool tune. Great video, awesome. Um, Things are about to explode for you, man. You're on a great label. You're doing great things. You got this big team on your side. You're gonna be playing bigger places and a lot more eyes and ears on you. And you're a pretty fearless guy. But what's the biggest fear? Going into this now, it's starting to happen. Any big fear in the back of your mind?
Oh man, a fear. I guess my biggest fear, and I think probably any real artist's biggest fear, like I'll never fear the crowds. That's where I'm the happiest. Um, I love meeting fans and stuff like that. So it's not that. My biggest fear would probably just be that some people might not get it, you
Hmm.
know, and that was my biggest fear for the Haunted record, and a lot of people, didn't get it.
Hmm.
And when we came out and we released Bad Attitude, it's only been out a week, and you can already tell people get it. And people understand. It's about listening to the whole record, and that's what I've been telling people in so many different interviews is that the reason we're dropping 8 songs or 7 songs at once isn't because these songs aren't single quality. They're all single quality. The thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you an experience. I'm trying to tell you a story that you can experience in real time. And people got that this time around. I mean, we had a bunch of pre-sales on the vinyls and the CDs, and people are saying that their favorite songs are all the songs on the record and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so I I guess my biggest fear would be that there's a rock fan out there that hasn't truthfully been moved by rock music in a long time or ever, um, and there might be one song on the record that they hear and they decide not to listen to the whole thing, and that would be my biggest fear, because I think this is an experience for any rock listener, and I tried my best to create a record that I would love to listen to if I was a listener, and I think that I think my biggest fear would just be that someone misses out on that chance.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree, man. Don't miss it out. Don't miss out on this. It's a journey, and I'm old school, and that's just an old school way of thinking. And you mentioned the vinyl, and it's like you gotta go old school. Get the vinyl and go through that journey. Flip it over. Listen to the other half. Uh,
Yeah,
make it an event for the day. Um, you know,
yeah. Read the vinyl notes.
yeah.
Read the lyric sheets, or buy the CD and put it in your CD player. Download the album and roll all your windows down and find a country road and drive as fast as you want to, and just experience it. Do something that feels rebellious with it. Do something that energizes you. Don't just listen to the single and say all the songs sound like that. It's got to be a journey. It's got to be an experience, and ultimately, I make music so that you guys can make memories, and that's what it is. And that's my biggest hope that happens with every single one of these records. So ultimately, if you do listen to Bad Attitude, I just want you to make a memory with it. And so please plan accordingly and do something with that, because that's the best way to experience this
Yeah.
or any music.
For sure, man. Listen to this album. Go on the journey, man. For sure. It's really cool. And songs like She Said. It's a perfect example. That is one of the valleys of the journey.
Yeah.
There's peaks and valleys all over this, and it's really a fun. It's a fun journey. It's a trip. And go on the trip, man. Don't miss out, for sure. Uh, Speaking of trips, what are your tour plans like, man? Am I going to get you back here, in the Chicagoland area? I know you're close. What do plans look like? Have you talked about that with Mark and Pavement? What's it look like for you?
Ultimately, so last year the plan was, actually you kind of experienced the plan. Our strategy kind of was a little bit weird. We promoted the record a little bit, then we went on tour, and then we finished promoting the record.
Mhm.
This time, it's we're just going to promote the record as much as we possibly can, get this out to as many people as possible, and just do it the right way, man. All figured out was done good, but it wasn't at the level that changes things. And so, with this unbelievable team that I have now with Pavement and stuff like that, we're just going to focus is all the energy we can on getting this album out to as many people as possible. And then when they just can't listen to it enough and they need the tour, then the tour will come. Yes, we are already in talks. I know that's not the answer you wanted to hear. We already are. We are in talks of some dates. We already got some stuff booked for the summer. There will be a Bad Attitude tour, um, but it won't happen as soon as people want it, and we're gonna build up some anticipation, and we're just gonna make sure that once you do get it, it will one be the most exciting thing we can possibly give you at the time, and that you guys will already know the songs and be able to sing them along with me by that time.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And like I say, I know Mark and Tim and the promotions team over there. They're just huge. I've watched Plush from the beginning. I've known Mariah since she was 15 years old, and
Yeah,
when she got involved with Pavement and all this great stuff, all these great tours. They just booked her and the band everywhere. It just grew and grew and grew and grew, and they just know how to grow a band. So like I say, I'm really excited. When I heard that, I was so excited for you, man. Because they will grow the brand. They will grow the band. Drew Cagle and the Reputation. I have no doubts in my mind. Big things are about to happen for sure. Looking so forward to it, man.
oh, that's great, man. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you got to be a part of this, and as we continue to grow, I hope you can stay a part of this as long as possible, man.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, man. Anything you need, doors always open, please. Just let me know.
Awesome, thank you, man.
All right. All right, Drew. Until next time, man. I'll see you, bud.
See you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.